All right, I just want to do a bit of a video on Cairns Ironman and 70.3, and mainly around the logistics and some tips about pre-race, where to stay, some unique things about the race, like Transition 1 and Transition 2 are in different locations. They're about 33 kilometres apart, and it creates some really unique challenges to this race, and one where I actually made a bit of a mistake that did have an impact on my race. So the first one is accommodation. So for me, you can see here, I've got up Google Maps. I've got a family and I combined this with a holiday, a 10-day trip with my family. If that's the case and you're going with your family, particularly with kids, I've got two boys that are 7 and 8, and we stayed at the Cairns Coconut. Now they've got water slides, they've got 3 different pools, they've got splash parks. It's just an amazing place to stay. Uh, it's not too bad a value. It's even better value when over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they had a 50% off sale. So I waited till October, November, whatever that is, to book that accommodation, and basically got that at half price, and that made it really affordable. I found the accommodation and the rooms, they were comfortable and they were nice. It's definitely not 5-star. It's more of a cabin or a nice cabin style accommodation, but it was great. It was adequate. They had a really good sort of cafe there and those sorts of things. They made really good pizzas. So I had a pre-race pizza and those sorts of things. So really good place to stay. You got a family, I recommend staying there. The downside of it is it's around about a 10-minute drive out of Cairns and where all the Ironman stuff is going on. So if you're there, I'd strongly suggest getting a hire car, which you can get one as cheap as about $60 a day, but well worth it for being able to, basically with the family, you can go there and not have to do anything. The riding around that area and things, there's a pool, which if you look here, the Cairns Coconut is there. I think there's a pool, like where my cursor is there. It's like a kilometre or two, a 50-metre pool, and it's $6 or $7. I think I had maybe one swim there because the rest of my swims were open swims. I did see a couple of other people staying there that were doing the event. They actually swam in one of the pools there. One of the pools at the Cairns Coconut is fairly big. It's a lagoon style pool, but the swimming distance you'd be able to swim, you wouldn't be able to turn off at a wall. You turn off at one wall, but then you swim sort of 3/4 of the way before it gets too shallow and sort of the kids area, and swim back. Probably be somewhere around that 20-metre mark that you could actually swim there, but you wouldn't be able to push off one side. Really, when it's just sort of a taper, then that's absolutely fine and no worries. So if you don't have kids or anything like that, my choice of accommodation, with the exception of all but one night, is this area in Cairns here, or anywhere in Cairns here. The main area where things are going on is this area here. So the run course goes all the way, this area here, the run course goes all the way through here and around here. And the main athlete village, I believe, is in this green area here. But we'll get into that when I jump into the Strava map, which I will do now. And the main reason for this is to show you Transition 1 and Transition 2 and start and finish of the race. So start of the race here is in Palm Cove. Palm Cove is approximately 33 kilometres from Cairns, which is so Transition 1, you get on the bike and you're going to finish here in Cairns, Transition 2. And obviously the run course is around this area here. The challenge comes on race morning, where all the athletes pretty much have to go from Cairns on a bus shuttle that takes you up there, which means you're getting up really early. I think I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning, and I think I was on a 5 a.m. shuttle. I was doing the full distance. 70.3 athletes, your shuttle is earlier. I think your shuttle's at sort of 4:30 in the morning. This is where my major mistake came. I practiced in training, getting up and basically having my car breakfast that worked well. And normally after eating, I'd be on the bike within half an hour. Well, instead, I ate at that 3:45 in the morning, then went to the bus, got down there, and by the time I actually got in the water, it was 7:45. So it's not half an hour after having that breakfast, it's a few hours. So this time I've actually booked accommodation in Palm Cove for the night, and that's the night before the race. And that's going to allow me to relax. It's going to allow me to probably get an extra 2.5 hours sleep, be a lot more relaxed, be able to have my breakfast at the time that I'd practiced, right down to something as beneficial as going to the toilet, and also the flexibility to get changed in your wetsuit and whatever you want, And then anything you've got with you need to make sure that you travel pretty light, because then you put it in your street gear bag, unless you've got spectators with you that are going to take them back. And then put it there, and you check out that morning as well, or just give them your key, because you're not coming back to Palm Cove that night. You're basically going to go into Cairns. So my number one tip: book accommodation and book now. I reckon I got early entry to the Ironman because I did it this year. When I booked myself in there, I booked accommodation in Palm Cove straight away, just in a normal one, and I'm pretty much right on the swim start. Now, the other thing that we nearly got caught out as a family is we thought that the only way, because the road closures aren't very specific, and I thought that basically the road was, and the way they put it is the road is closed all the way from there after a certain time. So if you wanted to be a spectator and get out to there or it appeared like you would get stuck there if you didn't get on the last shuttle at 9 o'clock to come back, it looked like athletes were going to be stuck there, which actually wasn't the case. They have a slip lane that goes all the way down, and you can get back. It's a slower trip. Instead of being a half an hour or 45-minute drive, it's an hour and 15 or an hour and a half. However, as you're going down, you've got all the 70.3 athletes coming past. There's times where they'll be going past you, then traffic will speed up, you'll be going past them. So you're actually getting to see a lot of the race going past you as it happens. So the spectators that did actually go and do that, they actually ended up being really, really happy with the way that went. So if you've got spectators, you can go out. You still got to get up early morning, so you'd probably get up and you'd want to be on the road and heading down to Palm Cove no later than 6 a.m, and that would get you there and get you parked around about 7 a.m. I'd probably leave a bit earlier than that, maybe 5:30 a.m. As an athlete, if you're staying in Cairns, I would just go, and you don't get accommodation in Palm Cove, I would just go on the shuttles. But keep in mind, practice and train with having nutrition on the way that you go, okay? So whatever it is, practice getting up early. But you got to keep having nutrition up to that point. That was my biggest mistake. All right, now on to, that sort of covers that. I'm not going to go through how to actually get to Cairns and airport and those sorts of things. You basically book a flight to Cairns airport. Super easy. Next important thing, which is sort of getting more into the race things, but I'll quickly go through the important things. On the swim, 70.3 athletes and Ironman athletes, the first thing you're going to do is come out here. You swim around here, around there. 70.3 athletes, you get to go straight in there and finish. Ironman athletes, sorry, this is where you come around here. And this section here, you're going straight into a pretty decent current and things slow down. This part of the race is easily everyone's least favorite. It's the slowest, but good news is once you get back around here, it feels like it goes a lot faster from that point. But after you make that turn, you will be regretting that you didn't choose to do the 70.3. But that is short-lived until you get back around here, and before you know it, you're coming out of the swim and into T1, which is here. Out of T1, which is here, and this is the other important thing that people don't know, the wind here is almost always a southeasterly, which means if you have a look at my cursor, it blows from down in the south all the way up this way. So basically, as you are riding out, you ride out of transition, you ride up to Port Douglas, up to there, which is all the way, it's a tailwind. Then you turn back around and come back down all the way into a headwind. Now, the headwind we had on the way back, you turn around at Port Douglas and you were smacked in the face with it. If you had have seen people's eyes, they were just bang. And that's when a bit of the worry set in with the people that have set off and gone way too hard with the tailwind. And then that headwind coming back is no joke. The even more important reason why this headwind plays a factor is because the turnaround point doesn't affect actually it still does affect the 70.3 athletes, but for Ironman, you come back to Palm Cove, and this is where the turnaround point is. You go back up to Port Douglas and down here again, and then the last 33 Ks of the ride is into headwind. So you actually got more time into the headwind than you do with the tailwind. I was passing so many people coming into the headwind who had passed me and actually overridden that very first part of the bike leg. So biggest tip, be ultra conservative, especially that first out. ultra conservative, a really, really easy zone 2 ride out on the way back. Sorry, really easy zone 2 ride on the first out. Uh, yeah, think about doing it easy and then back it off another 10%. And then eventually you'll come into Cairns and we'll go into the run. The run's flat pretty much the whole way. It's a nice run. You actually run through this area here. I'll zoom in. This area here is all bars, clubs, restaurants, pubs. Even as you come up through here, you actually run through, there's a club here and it's like a boardwalk, and you actually run through people eating dinner, and it's just a really great environment, this area here. So it's a really great run. There's people everywhere. So for people that are spectating, if they stand someone here, they'll see you come out of transition here, go up around here, they go up there. So they can see you in this one area within 15 minutes. They get to see you 2 or 3 times. And it's basically, out there, and you do 4 laps of that. It goes almost all the way out to Airport Avenue. So the airport's up here somewhere. And then you come back for 4 laps. So the whole run course is great. 70.3s, you'll have no problem. Ironman athletes, depending on your time, if you're under that sort of 10, maybe 10 and a half hour mark, you won't have this problem. All other athletes longer than that, you will be running in the dark. And the particular areas where it starts to get dark, starts to get a bit lonely and tough, and this is where it really, really hurts, this section. This section probably definitely from, actually, which aid station? Yeah, I think it's pretty much from that aid station out to here. It's gets dark, gets lonely, it gets hard to see, and that's where you'll find it the toughest. Normally only on the last lap, but be warned, it gets dark there. I know that they gave out glow sticks, which was absolutely useless. Saw some people with headlight torches. I'd probably consider perhaps bringing my own headlight torch this time, because there was a couple of areas where it was actually borderline a bit dangerous. They did have some temporary lights and that set up, but they really needed some around this area here. I can't remember the exact zones, but it was around this area. Other than that, I think that covers the main things. Like, I could go over 100 different things, but they're the main things and the important things to go through. As I said, the logistics of getting there, that's easy enough. Basically get a flight to Cairns. Where to stay, if you've got kids and you're looking to make a holiday of it, stay at the Cairns Coconut. It's really good. It's out of town. You will need a car if you're doing that. Other than that, stay central Cairns, somewhere near the athlete village. There's a good vibe and everything like that, and the accommodation there can be pretty nice. As an extra hack, try and get yourself accommodation at Palm Cove the night before, if you can. That will mean that you end up with basically paying for a night of accommodation somewhere else if you're a solo athlete, for example, and you've got one in the main area of Cairns, and you're doing that really to save yourself and get an extra 2.5, 3 hours sleep. But it's not just that. It also comes down to, I think my accommodation was $180 or $200 in Palm Cove, and I think that that's a pretty cheap investment to make, given the investment I've made to get there. And I think it'll have a massive impact on how relaxed I am going into the water and into the swim, the extra sleep I can get, and those sorts of things. So depends on your budget. I know that I've spent enough to get there already. An extra $180 is not going to break the bank, so I'm going for that. So I hope this was helpful. If you've got any questions, just let me know. I'll put it in. There's so much more to it than this, but I wanted to try and keep it as brief as possible. All right. Thanks very much. Any questions? Put them in.